You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today's Thursday, 26th day of September, 2019. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. May God continue. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. I launched into the close. You know, I was distracted. I was looking across the office at my grandfather's hat. I was talking with somebody about my grandfather the other day. A little town I grew up in Georgia. He was the sheriff. Now, when I say small town, he didn't even have a Barney. He didn't. It was just him. There was no radio dispatched, anything. It was just my grandfather. I remember the phone ringing in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. Some guy's drunk, whooping on his wife. My grandfather got to get up, put his clothes on, and put his he never used a holster. He kept his .38 in his front pants pocket, where it would be very difficult for someone to take it from him. He'd go out and help fix things up with Mr. and Miss Smith, and probably lock Mr. Smith up. And I guess that made me opie or dopey, either one. So anyway, you ever do that? Sometimes you reflect and you think back. It's almost like you're there. You remember it. What a different way of life it was then. I mean, we got these Dick Tracy wristwatches now. The Apple iWatch. I mean, that's right out of the comics, right? Right out of the comic strip, Dick Tracy. Remember that? My grandfather had none of that. He was duly elected, you know, by the people. He served his community. What a very different way of life. Anyway, I think I said welcome to the show. I was trying to show you the door before I welcomed you properly, but hey, we're glad to have you here. Wherever you are, whoever you are, we're just glad you're here. Now, let me put up a chart of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. Let's do that. Get this started. There we go. S&P, that's a 30-minute chart. Now, if you can't see the chart, go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. On the days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, point any internet-connected browser to youtube.com/CFRN/live for a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds, brought to you by the good folks at YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. Okay. Well, it's been an interesting session of sorts. It's been an interesting couple of days, not only in the market, but all over the world. This Ukrainian thing, impeachment. Now, I won't go off the political deep end here, but I just want to ask a question. Have you seen the video of Nancy Pelosi testifying about the evil Republicans back when Bill Clinton was getting impeached? There's a video of her. There's a video of Joe Biden at the same time. And I saw a video of Nadler. He was a big man at one point. But anyway, how the story changes when the shoe's on the left foot, right? So anyway, I said no political deep end. So fair enough. I'll stop there. Let's look real quick at the daily chart. Okay. We drew this. This is daily S&P. Most recent swing low, significant swing low on this chart, August 6th. Most recent significant all-time historic high, September 13th. No. I take that back. We did not put in the last all-time high was back here on July 26th. Okay? All right. So from the swing low to the most recent swing high, which was not a new all-time historic high, we've retraced to the 24% fib. That's the shallowest Fibonacci retracement. And let's take a look at the market structure here. Now, we can all agree that that was good resistance right there. And I think we can all agree that that was good resistance right there. So let's see what the chart says about that. Resistance, resistance, support, support, not support, not resistance, consolidation, support. Important price, important area right there. We talked about this the other day when this red candle was working its way down. It dropped we talked about it dropping. It just dropped a little quicker than we thought it might. It did what we thought could take 2 sessions. It did it in a couple of hours. And we said, once that happened, and price hit this 24% fib, that would be sufficient for a pretty good bounce. Well, the low of this candle, 29.58.5, and the bounce the following session took us to 29.91.75. So again, 58.50, let's just call it 60. Bounced to 91, we'll call that 90, a 30-point bounce, okay? 24% fib. But wait, there's more. You see this market structure? Because that should serve as good support, along with the 24% fib, that too was good for a bounce. Now you'll notice on the open here, we had 30 points here. When the session opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we continued higher right up to 29.85. Okay. All right, so we got fib, market structure, both providing good support and a really nice bounce. But wait, there's more. Here it comes. There it is, right there. Now, if you go back and if you missed this day's show, we went into great detail about what the next high probability move was, and that was coming down. We've got 3 good reasons for the market to find support, at least temporary support, and create a pretty decent bounce. Okay. So that has played out now, right? So today, now remember, early in today's session, which began last night, 6 p.m. Eastern, initially we caught a rally. We've come off of that, okay? We've also come off the lows, but if you can see that, let me blow it up. Now, I'm going to have to move this guy for a minute. That's the 24% fib right there. Spiked it, spiked it, spiked it, but not as much. See, if this holds, see, you've got a low, you got a lower low, and right now we have a higher low. So if we close this session off of that low and finalize the daily chart, this daily candle, with a higher low, then the high probability move will be back up to challenge this red and falling CFMA1. As price moves up to meet that red and falling CFMA1, we anticipate that being good resistance, at least for a beat. Could it rip right through it? Sure. Anything can happen. Embrace all the possibilities. But embrace them all. But focus on the high probability move. Okay? So, again, if this holds, if we don't go any lower than that today, when the session opens tonight, high probability, we rally up to challenge this. Now, depending upon where we close, let's say we close back where we opened today. You know what? Let's split the difference. Let's call it 29.80. Well, that's still a 20-point rally up. Okay. Now, if the market treads sideways, what will happen is instead of price rallying up to meet this, if price is just, again, trading sideways, this is going to drift down. Now, this is a daily chart, so it'll take a couple days for this to happen. But there's a completely different dynamic between price rushing up and this easing down. One more bullish than the other. far more. Okay? All right, so that's where we stand on the daily chart. We had let me just show you. We had a logical swing trade alert, number 41, overnight. Stopped out. Right here. No, that's not it. Hang on. There we go. Number 41. Consider being long crude. 56.65 to 75 to 95 to 57 and a quarter to 57 half. Stop loss was 56.05. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. So the entry was 56.65. $56.65, and then we had a swing high of $56.84. So from 65, well, if we'd have gone one more tick, but we didn't. But if we did, that would be the market making $200 per contract available. So it made $190 per contract available. Okay, and 56.75 was the initial target. 56.95 is the second target. So we did better than the initial target, but we did not make it even as far as the second target. Now we're on a 30-minute chart. We were on daily a minute ago on the ES, but now we're back on a 30-minute. Our stop loss on that was right here. 56.05. And that's where LST number 41 decommissioned. Okay. That's the truth about trading. Yes, I love showing you positive trades with profitable results. I really do. I enjoy it. It's fun. All right. Fun and profitable. But I would be remiss. It would be wrong if, when we have something stop out, whether it's on the Concierge Trade Alerts or the Logic 247 or the Logical Swing Trader, it'd be wrong not to mention that. It'd be wrong to sweep it under the carpet like, well, that never really happened, because it really did. That's the truth about trading. And as you see day after day after day, as Michael is in here giving you the recap of what happened in the live trading room, whether it was a stellar day or not so stellar day, he comes, he recaps it step by step, move by move, tick by tick, the good, the bad, the ugly. Now, we've been doing things that way for a while, since spring of 2005. 2005. Huh, I was just a kid then. And so are you, right? It's been a while. You're watching the longest running live Emini daily broadcast on the internet. And that's a big place, that internet. I've checked it. All right, enough of that. Enough fun. Let's we'll talk about all this in a bit. We'll cover, of course, as we always do, the Concierge Trade Alerts, Logic 247 alerts. We've already talked about the one logical swing trade that there's been activity on. We don't have any others pending. So, maybe later today, tomorrow, as the opportunity develops. Can't promise you anything beyond that. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. Cash markets. We'll start here in the U.S. as we do. Let me give you this little bit of news. Hey, if you missed a little bit of news yesterday, someone wrote an incredibly good article about why day traders fail. Now, we, of course, you know why we say 9 out of 10 fail. They were saying 9.5 out of 10 fail. They actually said 9.5, and they think it's even higher, but hey, no need to split hairs. But if you missed that yesterday, it's just a really well-written, well-researched, well-thought-out article. So you can do one of two things. You can read it on the internet, or you can listen to me read it and comment on it on yesterday's broadcast, if you missed it. I think everyone, whether you're a profitable trader, thinking about becoming a trader, a struggling trader, if your name's got trader anywhere in it, just listen to it or read it, okay? Now, this little bit of news today. Bitcoin price manipulated before futures settlement dates. Now, those of you that have been around a decade or more, decade and a half, you know that the reason I left the world of, or the primary reason I left the world of equity trading and became a futures trader was because of manipulation, because of naked short selling. I and Mark Falk and Patrick Byrne, we were all in the same boat, screaming at the SEC. We had members of our little group testify before Congress. One of our members, Rod over at Eagle Tech, he did a 60-minute segment, which at the last, exposing naked shorting, and at the last minute before it aired, they pulled it and said nothing. Never brought it up again. Now, there was a full-blown 60-minute piece. He spent weeks being interviewed and showing and explaining, and it's a dirty, rotten mess. So I'm intrigued by this headline. I'll be honest, I haven't read this article yet, so we're gonna find out together here. New research this week has added to suspicions that futures settlement dates end up manipulating the Bitcoin price. This could be different than an individual or a crooked cabal manipulating price. Let's see what they're talking about. According to findings from Arcane Research, that's an interesting name, Arcane Research, reported by Norwegian crypto news outlet Cryptographen on September 24th, CME Group's Bitcoin futures settlement dates, in particular, appear to negatively influence Bitcoin markets. That's a little bit different than manipulation, I think, but let's read on. Analyzing price behavior from January 2018 to August 2019, the company found 75% of the times immediately before CME issued payouts, Bitcoin fell. The CME was one of the first operators to launch Bitcoin futures in December of 2017. Since then, interest has peaked, with this year seeing frequent all-time highs for trading volumes. Let's peek at it real quick. Now we'll use this chart. BTC. Pretty sure they're not on September anymore. Let's see where we got the volume. All right, we got 551 there. 551 there. Let's try X. 12. Okay. So I think we found it. And we'll check one last one. Z. 23. Okay. We didn't check September. I guess we should give it a gander. Okay, 552 September. Oh, come on. Okay, so we're looking at September, 554. 556. Wow. Boy, that's really split right down the middle. Interesting. Okay. All right, so we'll just go with the V. Let's take a look at it. So in the last 30 minutes, 558 Bitcoin futures contracts have exchanged hands. That doesn't sound like a lot, but for this relatively new product, it kind of is a lot. And I'm looking at like some of the overnight, what do we got going on in futures on Bitcoin? 5, 2, there's 336. Last half hour was 376. Yeah, I guess all the volume is starting to pour into this contract out of the old one. That's my thought. Okay, back to this article. Arcane published the numbers just hours before Bitcoin nosedived 15%, bottoming out at $8,000. That event happened to occur days before a major settlement date on Friday. 50% of open interest in Bitcoin options is set to expire. The week's timing is also conspicuous following the launch of a new futures product from institutional trading platform BAKT. That's B-A-K-K-T. Despite volumes being low, executives have already claimed the effectiveness of the product in helping markets with price discovery. According to the company on social media, the unexpected drop in Bitcoin price was a sign of the market finding its true value. For Arcane, however, Arcane Publishing, they feel that such price behavior is highly suspect. The figures thus support a hypothesis that the Bitcoin price is manipulated in advance of CME settlement. They went on to say, however, the figures do not say anything about deliberate manipulation or, for example, only a result of investors' strategy of hedging. Let's see what they did. They sucked us in with the headline. That's okay. In August, Arcane hit the headlines again when separate findings suggested Bitcoin's market dominance was in fact over 90%, rather than the roughly 70% reported by trackers. And while we're talking about it, let me just give you this. Data from Coin360 showed sideways behavior for Bitcoin USD today, with only a brief move to 8,600 disrupting the trend. 24-hour lows for the pair currently sit around 4,235, while overall markets remained 15% down versus their levels before the drop on Tuesday. Okay, we must take a look at this. Kind of a big deal. Okay, there's a few. We already looked at the futures. We just want to look at Bitcoin USD. All right, now this is a daily chart. 7, 7, 7. Okay. There was a misquote in the article because they are misprint. 24-hour lows for the pair currently sit around 4,000. Okay, so yeah, misprint. As Cointelegraph reported, attitudes about Bitcoin's health vary. Some argue the largest cryptocurrency is on track beyond the short term, with the stock-to-flow metric in particular remaining bullish. Others are slightly more nervous. In his latest social media update, regular analyst and Cointelegraph contributor Michael Van de Poop, I promise that's his name, Michael Van de Poop, said that while markets looked sturdy, Bitcoin needed to close above $8,800 to cement more positive sentiment. He continued, altcoin BTC pairs are also doing fine. That's also a good sign. Now we just need to break 8,800. As Cointelegraph noted, suspicions, it's another article, same thing, suspicions remain around the impact of futures settlements on Bitcoin price. New research published just before the dip warned that on average, 75% of futures settlement dates for the CME group alone coincided with these big market drops. Okay, now, numbers from around the world. These are the cash markets starting here in the US. Currently the Dow is down 76 points. NASDAQ is down 55. S&P 500 down 11. And the Russell 2000 down 16. The only mover and shaker there would be the Russell. That's a little over a 1% drop. Next, in the commodity basket, crude oil down 56 cents, trading 55.93 last. That's a drop of 1%. Gold up $3.39, trading 15.70 last. And in the Asian markets today, at the closing bell, the Nikkei posted a gain of 28 points, Shanghai dropped 26 points, and the Hang Seng gained 96. And in European markets at the close, the FTSE was up 61 points, the DAX was up 54, and the CAC up 36. Now for the FTSE, that's a gain of almost 1%. And for the DAX and the CAC, gain of about half of 1%. That gave us a mixed day in Asia, a green day in the UK. So far, it is, we were positive early in the session, but right now it's a big red Radio Thursday here in the US of A. Let's go to Michael, get a recap of what happened in the live training room today. When he's finished, we'll be back. We'll talk to John. We'll look at the Concierge Trade Alerts, the Logic 247 alerts, all that, and answers to your questions when I return. Michael, it's all yours.
Okay, I got it. Messing around with MetaTrader 4.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm messing around with MetaTrader 4 while you were speaking.
Yeah, how's that going? You can't get futures data for that platform, can you?
It's
tried.
Forex data, but
that's all I could find was Forex data.
Yeah, but we don't need. we don't need futures data. We just need to be able to create the indicators.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's true. Yeah.
But okay.
All right. It's all yours.
Forward. I got it. All right. I think I have it. Let me see. Yes, I do. Okay. And bring this up. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 26th day of September, 2019. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go to the home page at CFRN.net. In the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. If you click on that, you will be brought to this page. You can go directly to, if you want to, eminitrainingschool.com. And all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number, and you can tell us the biggest trading challenge. So we can tailor one-on-one training specifically for you. Hit the send button. And once you hit that send button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the link, we don't know that you took the free trial. All right. Okay. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 26th day of September 2019. We made 8 ticks in the euro. We lost 7 ticks in crude. We made 17 ticks in gold. We had 1 break-even trade on the ES. So that put us up 150 for the morning session. Today it took 88 minutes and 6 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 7 trade opportunities. So, on the month now, per contract, 1 contract, 2 hours per day, we are up $3,351. That's over 17 days, averaging $197 per day. Over here in the right-hand column, this is gross monthly profit. Over here it says net profit. So, if you had an $8 commission, your net profit would be $19.27. If you had a $5 commission, your net profit would be $24.61. That is if you did everything exactly the same as I did. On the year now, at $28,118, that's over 173 days, averaging $162 per day. Again, it's gross profit, 1 contract, 2 hours per day. Okay. Now let's go and see what happened today. Gold was our big winner today. And we started out here. Right here, we missed a long trade right here. That was a long opportunity right there that we missed. It was followed up by another one right there that we missed, and another one right there that we missed. I don't know what I was doing at that point. I mean, I was here at my desk. I don't know how I missed all those on gold. I think these over here, yeah, I didn't do this one, this first one, because I wanted to see it break this level right here. And it didn't break that level until over here. But I should have grabbed that one right there. Right there. But it could have been going into the high of the day also. I don't know. I think it was. Then we missed that one. That was a momentum long trade. We grabbed a break even right over here. And we missed a short right in here. And we picked up 12 ticks on this one right here. We missed a long right there that would have been a break even, and we got 5 more ticks here to put us at plus 17 on the morning session. And then things turned around, and it gave a shorting opportunity there and there. This is during the break. And there, and there, and that was it. Okay. The euro, we had just the one trade right here. We picked up 8 ticks on. We missed the follow-up trade. I had actually stepped away from my desk and I didn't realize I still had an order on. That's why there were 2 trades in this period here, but we ended up getting out of the first one way over here. Excuse me. Then there was nothing else after that in the euro. In crude oil, now we had natural gas inventories came out today. Crude started out really choppy and sideways. Draghi was speaking this morning at the open, and then Governor Carney was speaking, and that just made the markets just really untradeable for the most part. All right, but we missed a short right there. We picked up 1 tick on that one, and we lost 8 ticks on that one. So we ended with -7 on crude. Excuse me. There was a shorting opportunity right here, but I think it was going into the low of the day. That's why I didn't do anything with it. Then during the break, hold on. We're getting there. Oops. Yeah, there was another shorting opportunity there. And during the break, there was a long opportunity right here. And that was it, really, during the break. And the ES, we had just 1 trade on the ES this morning. Go find it. Come on, charts. Here it was, right here. We missed that one. We got a break even on that one, and I probably shouldn't have even done that because the cycle was going up too steep. Then, there was one right here right before the break that we missed. And then during the break, there was a long trade off the BPC. And let's see. That was pretty much it. It was tough trading today, really. With all those talking heads. Made the markets go kind of sideways. Here now. Hold on a sec. Okay. Here now.
Did you call me yet?
Not yet, but John's out there,
Okay.
so I'm just going to finish up right now. And
Okay, because I'm listening in on my phone. This app works pretty good, but I'll go back on mute till you finish.
okay, yeah, I'm just finishing up right now. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, as I told you, is the 26th day of September 2019. We made 8 ticks in the euro. We lost 7 ticks in crude. Made 17 ticks in gold. Today took 88 minutes and 6 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 7 trades. So on the month now, we're at $3,351 over 17 days, averaging $197 per day. That is 1 contract, 2 hours per day. On the year, $28,118. That's over 173 days, averaging $162 per day. Now, if you have not taken the free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net Right here it says 5-day free trial apply.cfrn.net. If you click on that, you will be brought to this page, eminitrainingschool.com. You can go directly to that page if you want to. And all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. Then you can tell us your biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training specifically for you. Hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay? We don't know you took the free trial until you click on the confirmation link. And there. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready. Dwayne, if you are ready. I know you're there. Well, anyway, I'll open up John's mic. Hey, John, I opened up your mic. I don't know if you can hear, but I'm beginning to think nobody can hear. Let me look in the question box and see if there's any questions. No, there are no questions in the question box. Okay. I just opened up John's mic too, but
Okay.
he is not present.
Let me jingle this phone here. So recap of the recap.
Today it took 88 minutes and 6 trades to get to $100 per contract.
That's my phone ringing John's phone. All right. Well, that just lets him know that we're ready, and so we'll continue until he shows up. So we have. Was there any news this morning?
No, Draghi was speaking and Governor Carney was speaking today.
Okay. What came out of the Draghi speech? Anything?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All righty. Hey, John.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
John is back.
Have you seen these videos out there of Pelosi and Nadler and Biden back during the days of the Clinton impeachment?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, they're singing a real. It's comical to listen to them back then defending Bill Clinton and how they were what the Republicans were trying to do is just unravel a presidential election. They're trying to make it seem like our votes don't. It's a circus. They've lost their collective minds. But anyway.
Yeah, I think, look, the way I read it is yesterday when that transcript came out was kind of much ado about nothing. But today, what initially was kind of an overreaction and caused a downside sell-off was because the complaint was pretty comprehensive, but it is obviously an orchestrated affair where this has been plotted by somebody who is basically probably Brennan or somebody like that, who's somebody is plotted, who has some friendlies in the intelligence, who basically can put this whole thing together, orchestrated this thing, because it's the way it was written. It sort of initially appeared kind of devastating, but it's all a lot of hogwash. And,
it is. It's
yeah. And look, this guy John Ratcliffe, who, if you remember, I thought could make a pretty good D&I director.
Right.
A very smart guy. He basically just said that the fact that President Trump has the right to investigate any corruption or law, what's the word, unlawful conduct with other countries, right. with the authorities in that country. He's just doing what he should be doing. So right after that, is when the market rallied. And I put a tweet out a while ago when we were down near the lows, and I said, be ready to cover and reverse. This looks like, I wouldn't say we're out of the woods yet. We've still got the, possibility of a test next week, around October the 2nd.
Yeah, I think, John, where we're running, if we get a rally going up out of here, if we can close off the lows today, we were just talking about this right here. We had a low on the daily chart, then a lower low, And if this low right here today stands, we're going to have a higher low, and that should take us right back up to about 3,000. And then I think
I
we
agree.
could
I agree
potentially
with you. I
take
agree with
another
you.
leg
Yeah.
down.
You know, the problem is we probably, unless we rally big time later today and tomorrow, we're probably going to have a down week, which could mean a bit more of a test, but it may not. You know, it could.
No, it
be
very well.
great.
I think this is in the cards, John. I think 29.30 is in the cards at some point.
Yeah.
I think we rally first, but it's not a forecast, folks. It's just my opinion. So.
Yeah.
What else?
Okay.
Where do you want to start? What you want to look at?
Well, the cocoa is making new highs today. 2,500, 25 got to 25.12. That's
oh, did you see this hit? Well, I got the chart.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, this Bitcoin.
Oh my goodness!
Bitcoin. It might be. You know, the trouble is when these guys come out and say the thing's going at 250,000.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of loses credibility. And we did say a while back that if you put a monthly on that, weekly or monthly, I think you're going to see that the sell was pretty extreme.
Right. They're saying it coincides with futures expiration. I was just sharing an article with the audience on that.
Yeah, I think. Chinese shutting down for a couple of weeks might be behind it as well.
Okay.
And
okay. Let me put this on a monthly.
Can you go weekly first?
Sure.
See what the weekly looks like. Yeah.
Okay. Here's.
Yeah, you see that. I mean, that's a kind of a bigger spike than what the top was. That's a problem. However, it could be a three-wave pullback here, so we got to watch it, and maybe a double bottom against that previous low, just under 7,900, I guess.
Right.
So if it holds there and then starts to go back up, it could turn bullish again.
But John, this thing could go. This thing we could see 6,000. I mean, that's not out of the question. Looks like a magnet at the moment. Hopefully, this right here. Hopefully, this will provide enough support, send it higher. But
so put up the monthly, Dwayne, and that might give an even bigger clue.
Okay.
And the quarterly, even if you can't do quarterlies.
I don't have.
No,
quarterly,
look at that monthly. The monthly looks terrible. This looks terminal.
That doesn't look good. John, you mentioned. Do you have a charting? Any charts that offer you a quarterly chart?
I do. Yeah.
Because I've been working on something, but none of my charts. I'm pretty sure this one doesn't have quarterly.
Yeah.
No.
But you can see from what the quarterly would look like. It would be a big sell as well.
Yeah.
So,
that would. Boy, this I was saying 6,000. This makes a case for 4,000. Unfortunately.
Maybe even lower lows.
But if you believe in Bitcoin for the long haul, if you think there's true substance there, and I do, because of all the mass adoption mechanisms that we see, from Safeway giving you back your change in Bitcoin to all the other things we talk about on the show practically every day. I mean, honestly, the other day, I thought 10,000, and in fact, I think I said something on the radio show that if I had X amount of dollars in my pocket, I'd buy 100,000 shares of Santa Fe, and I'd buy something, I forget how much, Bitcoin. I was just talking, but so if I was really willing to pay 10,000 last week, I mean, shouldn't I be all over 4,000? I mean, I can buy twice as much.
I think you just got to wait and see how it plays out. I think it's a really risky proposition right now.
Well, absolutely, and that's in keeping with our methodology for all types of trading. We would have to see it come to 4,000, find support if that's what it were to do, then make a move, and then hold that number on a pullback, and then I would feel very comfortable between 4,000 and 10,000.
I think. I got a really. Somebody was saying that the daily trading in gold is something like 200. It's just staggering. It might be as high as 280 billion. It's just a staggering amount of money, and I think that a Bitcoin Bitcoin backed by gold is going to become the most traded instrument on the planet.
I think you're right, and I have 68,000 KBCs. That's basically Bitcoin. It's not Bitcoin, it's KBC, but it's backed by gold. And the mechanism that they put together for this to become a crypto backed by gold, it's just absolutely brilliant, because what people do is when you buy this cash gold from them, they make you a very attractive offer to not take physical delivery, but to store it in their vault, in their bank, right? And this is a legitimate full-blown bank. In fact, it's going public here in a couple months. It's going to go public first on the German exchange, and then it'll move to the others. So when people buy this cash gold and they choose to leave it on deposit in the bank, that's how the cryptocurrency becomes backed by gold. I mean, I can't. There's too much to try to explain it all in a short conversation here on the radio, but I encourage everyone to do your own due diligence. Really take a good look at this thing. And maybe it's for you, maybe it isn't. But we all watched Bitcoin go from pennies, to many thousands of dollars, and nobody thought that could happen. So I certainly wouldn't ever suggest you bet the farm on this. In fact, I don't suggest you do anything except do your own due diligence, folks. Take a look, get under the hood, because opportunities like this don't come around too often. Now, is it going to happen again? And hearing John say what he just said about any type of cryptocurrency that's backed by actual physical real gold, and they're bringing another mine online. I'll send you that information. I think that mine comes online in December. They just purchased it. Okay. All right. Well, back to you. What chart you want to look at now?
Let's have a look at the gold. See what it looks like. The platinum actually surprised a little by turning higher, and the palladium, I think, is making a new all-time high today. So it probably means that there's another move up coming in gold.
Okay, these are our zones for the week. The Globex opened Sunday night was right.
If gold was to
right
rally from here without going any lower, I think it'd be very bullish, frankly.
Yeah. So we went from zone to zone to the zone, and then we backtracked all the way back down to this zone that we were, or this area that we were sitting at last week, and now we've just been pinging back and forth right here between these two zones. So, do you think we're going to retrace further, or do you think maybe this double bottom across here? These are 30-minute. Do you think this is sufficient?
Honestly, it looks like we could go lower by
Let's bring it up on a daily and take a look. So your computer, you got everything's working okay now? You had problems with it yesterday?
No. I got a sort of short-term fix. I got to get redone. The drive they put into it was damaged. That's why I couldn't. It was a brand new drive. Can you believe it?
Was it a solid-state drive, or?
Yeah.
All right. Well, from this on the daily chart now, guys, if we go back to the most recent, truly significant low on this chart.
It really looks like it is coming back to maybe 1470, 1450, somewhere like that.
I agree.
But 1450 would probably be a pretty good place for it to come back to. But if it were to somehow recover from here, it actually would be it could be incredibly bullish, actually, if that would happen. So the gold stocks are kind of holding it much better than the previous time down. They have, they're nowhere near the recent lows, which I think is a positive. Take a look at let's look at Newmont. See what, because Newmont's holding up really well.
Okay.
NEM.
I'm on my way. Newmont. Did you say NEM? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's on a monthly. You want to go daily?
Yeah, you see how close it is to breaking out this thing? It looks really kind of
Here's
very
monthly. We'll back it
potentially-
off to a weekly.
Yeah, very, very bullish. This company, I think it's going to go crazy soon.
All right, there's weekly.
So, if they come out with some good news or something, this thing could really run. It could almost do a Royal Gold type thing, It's been going sideways for 6 months here.
See, is this the all-time historic high here?
No. It's got a ways to go before that happens.
Okay.
You have to go back to 2016, I think. No more.
Yeah, now we can see that.
Go back to 2011, so it's got a long way to go. And it's interesting because, we're only $400 away from...
Oh, look at there.
Right.
Look at that. That's back in, what, 86? 87?
They've made a few mistakes since then, unfortunately.
What kind?
including, well, they acquired a property up in the Arctic Circle for $10 billion, and somebody who's a very good geologist told me, if we don't touch anything, the only way you could get into this was to fly into it. So it was really, the gold is there, but he just said don't ever touch anything in the Arctic Circle. There's just too many difficulties in terms of trying to extract it and build a mine and everything like that. And that turned out to be the case. And they wrote it off. They wrote it off like a few years later. So they blew 10 billion on that deal. And they probably, and as we pointed out, in early 2000s, it was actually Barrick Gold. In the early 2000s.
Barrick. I don't hear much about them anymore. What's that symbol?
Yeah,
Barrick?
I think they've been taken over, actually.
Okay.
Maybe part of this GOLD now, I think.
Well, there's Barrick Gold. Let's see.
Oh, no, that's GOLD. That's Barrick Gold.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and look, in the early 2000s, they were using from 6 million tons, they were getting about 1 million ounces. I think today they have to mine about 30 million tons to get the same amount. So obviously the costs are much higher. And, this company is not setting the world on fire. Don't forget, it's a combination of several recently acquired companies. Mm-hmm. But it's going to take a little bit of time for the efficiencies to be, enabled between these different companies. So, but obviously there's considerable upside on this thing if the gold goes to if the gold goes right up, as there is on this one. If same thing happens, but they're close to going into production now, and also the financials are almost complete. So per the recent press release, and that will possibly make a big difference.
When did the last press release come out? I'm sure I saw it.
About 10 days ago.
Maybe I didn't see that one.
It was hang on a second. Just a second. It was August the 23rd. No, sorry, not August the 23rd. It was
I got it. I should have it right here. Santa Fe Gold, Radiant Gold and Silver Silicious. I'm not familiar with that term. Yeah. Vein material for processing and shipment to potential buyers. Okay. Santa Fe Gold, a U.S.-based mining company that currently ranks number 9 of the top 10 U.S.-based mid-tier and junior precious metals companies, with 148 mining claims covering 42 mine sites and potential mines, is continuing to develop production of economic-grade high silica vein gold and silver siliceous vein material from its Jim Crow mine, and is now stockpiling the vein material at its new surface staging facilities, pending crushing and shipment. Do they have the equipment on site to do the crushing?
They do. Yeah.
Is that from the old?
No, this is all new stuff.
It's all new stuff?
Yeah.
Once maximum output gold and silver vein material production is achieved from the Jim Crow mine, the plan is to further exploit and develop the adjacent Imperial mine and also now the Three Brothers mine, expected to intersect from the Jim Crow mine as further underground development is achieved. Therefore, a potential down dip extension of the Imperial vein should soon be accessible from the Jim Crow mine. Well, sounds good. The company we're talking about, folks, is Santa Fe Gold. Now, I have a relationship with the company. I've been a shareholder since 1996. This company made me a millionaire. But the rest of the story is I never sold a share. And let me just clear the air here. There's a disclaimer on our website about my holdings in Santa Fe. And while the last time I failed to take profit when the stock hit $2, let it be known that the next time we hit $2, I will be taking profits, okay, like I should have done last time, but hey, things happen for a reason. So carry on. All right, John, what else you want to look at?
That FedEx that was looking so great yesterday is giving it all back. And it looks like natural gas is tanking like dramatically. It's gone down a lot.
Here's FedEx. No, that's not FedEx. What's the symbol?
FDX.
Okay. There we go. That's monthly. Let's go to daily.
Looks pretty bad actually for FedEx.
And this. Oh, look at that gap. And now, this is part of the Dow Transports, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And for those, you guys have probably heard John and I talk about it on the show before, but one of the first things I remember about John when we met back in the late 90s was he used to talk, I didn't know what the heck he was talking about, but I remember him saying quite often that he looked at the Dow Transports as a type of leading indicator. And I now understand that. I mean, you got all these trucks running around delivering packages and supplies and all these other kinds of things. That's a forerunner to a booming economy, when there's lots of movements in the transportation sector. And when that slows down, when those companies have a hard time turning a profit, well, you can tell them better than I, John. Go ahead.
Well, look, look, the other transport companies don't look too bad, and we looked at them the other day, even UPS but the way FedEx is behaving. Remember, it's a global operation. It may not be all the U.S., but it is, and even UPS now is coming off its highs. If UPS was suddenly to start to break down, it wouldn't be good. It would not be good. And the fact that FedEx is doing as badly as it is, and remember, there are other influences like Amazon is growing. Amazon's delivery business is not just growing; it's exploding higher, and so that's a problem for definitely a problem for FedEx, and it's probably a pretty big problem for UPS as well. So,
John, let me open up Dr. Tom's mic so you can say hi to him. Hey, Dr. Tom, welcome to the show. Okay.
Hey, what's happening?
There you are. All right. Well, I thought you might want to say hi to John, so I opened your mic before he takes off. We're still chatting here about the markets in general. You got anything you want to throw in the ring?
No, I've just been listening and learning.
Yeah.
Okay.
What'd you learn?
Alrighty. Well, listen, I'll go about.
No, you don't have to take off, John. No,
it's okay. I've got things to do. So.
All right. Well, good luck getting the computer back up.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, John.
Well,
Bye-bye.
Dr. Tom, how are you today?
I am fine as frogs here. How about you?
Good. I don't know if I'm frog hair good, but I'm good. I'm good.
Well, the expression's from North Carolina. I used to pastor church up there in the mountains.
Yeah?
And the full expression is fine as frog's hair, because frog's hair is so fine you can't even see it, right?
You know, I never heard that part of it.
Never heard that expression. Well, that's
No, I've
why
heard the frog hair thing, but just not the last part there.
Well, it's just an explanation. You just didn't. You heard it, but you didn't know what it meant.
Exactly.
Right?
There you go.
So the second part of the expression is, and slick as owl snot,
That I've heard.
which, as most people know, is very, very slick. I usually don't mention that in mixed company because ladies don't like to hear about snot, you know.
No, they're not big
But
on it. CFRN Gold, folks, that's a place you can go to learn a lot about this gentleman I'm speaking with, Dr. Tom. He is a regular guest on this show, co-host every Thursday. He comes and talks with us about investment-grade gold and all the other things in this wonderful world in which we live that he finds fascinating. So what's fascinating you this week?
well, sets. You want to give me the
Yeah, sure.
control?
Mhm.
I like control. You know.
Got it. Coming your way. Make presenter. There you go.
Talk about individual coins, because that's mostly what people buy. But today I want to talk about the fact that a coin you own might be part of a great collection and you didn't even know it. Okay.
Interesting.
So let me give this a full screen effect here. Isn't that beautiful?
That's perfect. Yeah. Good job.
That's beautiful. Okay. So what if your coin is part of a set? Well, it makes it more valuable.
Okay.
Now, I know not too many people are going to buy sets of this type, but the best of the best always cost a lot. The very first proof set ever made in the United States was what's called the King of Siam collection.
The King
And this
of
was
Siam,
Andrew
okay.
Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This was Andrew Jackson, obviously President of the United States at the time, made or had the Mint make up this proof set. Now, the British had already been doing proof sets for 100 years, where they had actually ever made proof sets in the classical era. Nowadays, everybody sets, but they're really worth nothing more than the price of the gold or silver, because they'll never be rare. If you make $1 million of something, you have to work really hard to make it rare.
Yeah, right.
So this particular set, there was only 6 made, but the only one that survived is the one that was sent as a diplomatic gift to the King of Siam. Well, heads of state receive diplomatic gifts all the time. There's like a whole warehouse full of gifts that have been given to the President of the United States, various presidents, of everything you can imagine. So the King of Siam collection had this set, which is a complete set of every U.S. coin that was being minted at that time. It was in the early 1800s. And you've heard of the movie Anna and the King of Siam, or The King and I. I think it was a stage play.
I have. Yeah, it was a play.
Yeah, it was a stage play that later made into a movie. And Anna was an English governess who was there to take care of the king's children. Well, when they got too old to need a governess, he sent her back to England, and he gave her this set as a gift. Okay. Now, that's not particularly shocking, but when you find out what the set's worth today, it will be shocking. But to him, it was just another gift somebody gave him. He didn't really understand. He didn't know about our coinage. And in face value, it was only worth around $35 or $40. Had a $20, a $10, $5 gold coins, and then all the silver coins. So it was from America, but we speak English, and I guess he thought America and England were pretty much the same thing. So he said, here, you might like this. So he gave it to her as a parting gift. She took it home and knocked around her family for generations, and eventually made its way over this side of the pond. Nobody really knows how. But my partner, Greg, who spends most of his time in Europe buying rare coins for us, bought it for $1.1 million. Okay. Because it was extremely rare, and it was the very first proof set ever made in the United States. And then the whole Andrew Jackson and King of Siam. By the way, Siam is now Thailand. So he was very, very happy. Here's another North Carolina expression for you. He was happy as a pig in slop. When in 1990, he was offered $3.3 million for it. Well, triple your money, who's not going to jump on it? Today, he kicks himself in the butt every time he thinks about it, because it's been sold a few times since then. The last sale was $15 million. And the current owner was offered $25 million for it and refused it, obviously because he thinks it's worth more than that. So now you can see why I said it's kind of shocking to know that the King of Siam just handed it to the governess and said, here, take it. Well, here's the point. Not that you should run around and buy $15 million sets, but that a set is worth more together than it is apart, just like we are. Just think about this show today. How much fun would it be if it was just me? It's much more fun that you and I and Michael and Veronica, we're all.
Well, it'd be more fun than if it was just me, but yeah.
Okay. So if you were to break up the King of Siam collection, and let's forget the 25 million because it was never sold for that was offered. Let's just say it's worth 15 million. If you broke it up and sold each coin individually, they would sell for a lot of money because they still have the provenance. They're still the first US set ever made. It's still the Andrew Jackson and the King of Siam. But the total that you would get for the individual coins would be far less than you get for the set. Why? Because with sets, usually people work to put a set together. And what we're looking at here is a set of Eisenhower silver dollars. Okay. And there's lots of different kinds of sets. And usually people build them. That particular set was manufactured by the Mint as a set. They had a specially made leather box and little slots and where the coins were put in velvet and so on. But it doesn't have to be like that. People can build sets. So what kind of sets do they build? Well, some people collect by denomination, like they only collect silver dollars, like the one I showed you earlier, or they only collect British £5 coins. It could be anything. And that way they can focus and specialize and get the best coins they can find in that particular denomination. Some collect by the method of manufacturing. Here you see an old screw press, but before that, there were horse-operated presses. They would have a big, heavy steel, not a tube, but a block really, but it was round. And the horse would go forward and lift it up, and the lower die would be down at the bottom of the contraption. They'd put a round of gold in it, and the upper die was in the piece that the horse is holding in the air. Then they release it, it would come flying down and whack. You would have a minted coin because both sides would be smushed by the dies, and then you made it. Later on, they had steam-powered ones. This is a man-powered, like I said, a screw press. Well, then there's ancient coins. This particular one, I believe, is from Greece, but Roman and Greek coins are particularly popular. I have one coin, is the first coin ever made. It's called a Lydia coin. It comes from Lydia, which is a kingdom of Asia Minor. So it's 6,000 years old. In other words, it's 4,000 years before Christ was born. Then there's hammer coins. These are some of my favorites, similar to that screw press that you saw, but they would have a lower die and a workbench, and they would have a sheet of gold. There were people they were hammers all day long and hammer out a lump of gold into a sheet thin enough to make it to a coin. And somebody that was pretty good at it, because they didn't have dies and presses and so on, would, with something like 10 snips, would cut out as perfectly round a coin as they could. None of them were perfectly round because they're done by hand, and none of them were perfectly flat. But they would lay that planchet, as it's called, the round piece of gold, in the lower die, and then they put the upper die on it, and it had a piece on it that you could hit with a sledgehammer. And a guy with a sledgehammer would sit there and whack these things all day long. Well, as you can imagine, his biceps were as big around as my thighs, but they're beautiful coins. And
the blacksmith was also the mint. Is that how the story goes?
Basically, yeah, it's that same kind of skill, except in this case, they didn't heat it up. That's what a blacksmith would do. He would put whatever he was working on in a forge, get it red hot, and then he'd hammer on it. But I imagine the first guys who made the hammer coins were probably blacksmiths. Okay, so
you know how a silversmith knows when silver is just the right consistency? I'm sure you've probably heard this. These two ladies were on a tour, and they were watching a silversmith at work, and they said, "How do you know when you're done?" And I'm just paraphrasing this. I don't remember how it was exactly worded, but he said, "If I hold it in the fire 1 second too long, it'll burn up. If I take it out 1 second too early, it'll be worthless. So it has to be at the exact perfect time." And the lady says, "Well, how do you know it's the right time?" And he said, "When I can see my reflection in it, that's the right time." So yeah, it's a really nice little story if you remember all the crooks and turns and the words, but you get the idea. So
yeah, I could preach a sermon on that one.
Yeah, amen. Yeah. I have, yeah.
I mean,
I can remember it.
The Lord lets us be in the fire and face adversity and so on to strengthen us, and
so he sees his reflection in us, and we're just right.
Amen. Okay, let's move along.
Back to you.
And
I'm looking at this hammered coin. That's quite a work of art. It really is.
It is, and the fact that they did all this with just steel instruments. I mean, we have diamond tipped drills and different instruments and burrs and so on today, but they did this beautiful work.
Did they have some kind of a template, or was each coin a unique work of art?
Oh no, they made them all the same.
So they had some kind of a press. They had a press or template, or I don't know what the right word is here.
Well, yeah, the things.
Yeah, I mean, did they hammer out each one individually?
They did.
Hand hammered. Oh wow.
The die was the key. Remember, we had the lower die.
Right. Okay.
That's where the artwork came in, because they were able to use steel to engrave in steel. And to this day, nobody really knows exactly how they did it.
Really?
They probably had, they couldn't use weak steel because the dies would break up after being smacked so many times. But my guess is, they do a thing they call annealing of steel, which is strengthening it and making it harder and so on. So they probably had very strong steel dies, but they had stronger steel tools so that they could cut into the other steel with it. Anyway, it's very interesting stuff. Then we get machine-made coins. I mean, these are basically everything's automated. You put a bunch of planchets, in this case of round planchets of copper, and the machine will take them, align them perfectly, stamp them, toss them out the other end. Okay.
And when the machine slips up, then that becomes a rare coin unto itself, even if it's just a penny, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's pennies that have sold for tens and even hundreds of thousands of dollars because they were error coins. They made a mistake on it, and one that wasn't even a mistake. Way back when we first started making the pennies, the designer had put his initials on it. You know, it's like people signed their artwork.
Yeah, like Ralph Lauren. Yeah. Or,
yeah.
Yeah.
So the first ones were minted and distributed, and there was an uproar. You know, people thought it was very gauche of him to put his initials on there. You know, this is U.S.
Really?
Yeah, they were offended by it. So anyway, they took it off, and the coins that got out into circulation with his initials on it are worth a lot of money today. Because even though it wasn't an error per se, there are error coins where there's been some crazy stuff where they had the upper die, you know, what's called the obverse, the front of the coin, and
right.
the reverse die, which is the back of the coin. They would have two obverse dies on one coin, you know, and usually they would catch that pretty quickly. They would grab them and throw them back in the pot and melt them down and do them over. But
right.
Occasionally someone would slip one in their pocket, and those are worth a lot of money. You know,
I know I've seen
errors.
a mint mark. I know I've seen a mint mark, some coin that has like 2 D's on it. Which mint is the D symbol for? Is that Philadelphia?
No, the custom is in most countries that the main mint, which in the United States is Philadelphia, has no mint mark. Okay.
Oh.
Just like the London Mint has no mint mark.
Okay.
But the ones that were made in Mexico have an M, and Canada have a C. So the D is the Denver Mint. And then we have a C, which is the Culver City Mint, and so on. Okay,
I didn't know there was a mint in Culver City.
At one time, there is no more. But at one time, we had as many as 9 mints operating at the same time. And it made sense to have the mints closer to where the gold was. So we had
and there was no digital currency back then, no credit cards, no debit cards.
Yeah,
so,
strange
I mean,
thing.
They had to print the money. I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I'm just joking with you. Why wouldn't they have digital currency back then? You know, but
well, I mean, today, I mean, we talked about this recently. Of the money they only print a small amount of money compared to what's considered to be the money supply, because people just don't carry a lot of cash anymore.
Right. I told you we were starting a Bible college here in town, and when we had our open house and Q&A session, I told people, you know, just bring your checks for tuition and so on. And this one young guy in the back said, what if you don't have checks? I said, what do you mean? He says, well, we don't use checks. You know, we use online payment or a card. I don't even own a checkbook. So
gotcha.
we had to quickly put an online payment system on our website. But yeah, it's just like I've had guys work in my office here, younger guys, and I'll say, here, mail this for me. He said, what do you mean?
That's funny.
Said, well, mail it, address it, send it off. Well, how do you do that? So I had to explain to him how to put it in an envelope, how to address it, how to put postage on it, and so on. It was hilarious.
I had to physically mail a letter the other day, and it's been so long, I had to go online to find out what it costs to mail a letter these days, and I guess it was 55 cents. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
So I went in our little drawer where we used to keep stamps, and I was able to piece together 55 cents. I had like some 2 cents, and I had all these different little denominators. I had about 10 stamps strung across this envelope 50 equal
Took up
55 cents.
half the envelope, right?
Right.
That's funny. Another time I had another guy working here and I asked him to fax something for me. And he had no idea what a fax machine was. So I explained it to him, and then he did what I told him, and the fax wouldn't go through. Well, he didn't realize that unlike his cell phone, which is what he lived on, you had to put a 1 in front of a long distance number. You know, he says, "Well, why would you have to do that?" it's funny. I mean, back in
the late '80s, the company I worked for at the time had sent me to Portland, Oregon, to open a Northwest sales office. And I got there and I started hiring my staff, hired my secretary. Fax machines had just, come out. It hadn't been too very long. They weren't they'd been out a while, I guess, but they weren't very common. And so I hired the secretary, and she's really efficient. And I told her, I said, go take this, whatever documents. I said, fax these to the Phoenix office. And I had shown her previously how to operate the machine. And plus there's a little instruction sheet there. So after about 15 minutes, she came back and she said, hey, there's something wrong. It's not working. I go, well, what do you mean? She says, I put the paper in just like you showed me. I dial the number. I hit the button. She goes, it makes a noise, and then it just spits the paper right back out. I said, well, okay, what's the problem? She goes, well, I've done it like 10 times. It just keeps spitting the paper back out.
She thought the paper was going to go through the telephone wires.
Yeah, it was going to like be teleported. It was so funny. And she got really upset. She goes, why are you laughing at me? Why are you laughing at me? And once I explained it to her, she goes like, oh, wow. She goes, I guess I really did think it was just going to like, somehow send it through the phone lines and it would end up in Phoenix. So that was, and look where we are today. I mean, fax machines are archaic. I don't even have actually I do have a fax machine. I never use it.
We only use it as a photocopier. That's all.
That is what I use it for. Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, times change. I mean, I remember when I first started as a broker, I wrote letters, photocopied them, and sent them out to potential clients. And then they stopped paying attention to things like that because they got so many. So I started having them printed up in color. That was a new thing, not very normal, instead of black and white. So that got more attention, and that helped my business for a while. Then eventually I had to make a cassette tape. I'd record a tape and tell them what a great stockbroker I was. And you had to send those out. And then those became old fashioned. So you would send them a VHS tape, and then it was a CD, and then it was a DVD. Now just tell them, go to this link and watch this video, that's progress.
I've actually seen some little business cards. I haven't seen one in real life, but I've seen them for sale, and I don't know what they cost, but it's the size of like a credit card or just a business card, and it's got a little tab on the end of it. There's some slot on a computer. I know it's not a USB port because it's not big enough, but there's some port on a computer that you can slide this thing in, and your computer comes to life, the screen does, and it tells you the story of the company or the person or the broker, or it's sort of like a living business card kind of thing. You plug it into your computer, and I'm trying to think of the name of them. Something like Gator, or that's not it. But anyway, technology's come a real long.
CDs were popular. They had CD business cards. It was like, you've seen the mini CDs supposed to,
I remember
like
those.
3-inch in diameter, except they cut off the top and bottom, so they're flat top and bottom, so it looked like a business card you could actually stick in your wallet. But you could drop that in your CD player and play it on your computer. All kinds of innovative stuff. Anyway,
and if you were a trader back in the 80s, or an investor, there were more investors than traders back in the 80s. Just like you get spam in your email inbox today, crap used to come in over the fax machine. You could get tip sheets. I mean, you could order stuff and be on somebody's tip sheet for everything from horses to stocks. and then after a while, just random stuff started showing up that you didn't ask for, and it was exactly what spam is today. That was fax spam. So
Yeah.
yep,
We went from
we've come a
fax
long
to
way, baby.
email, but I used to get spammed with direct mail. In my office here, the mail lady would usually bring me a bin of mail every day, and 95% of it was junk mail. Now I have days that go by I don't get any mail because nobody sends things by mail anymore. When you can just scan and email it, and direct mail has gotten so little used that it's now a valuable way to get a message out.
Exactly. Yeah, you can actually get somebody's attention now because you're like the only one in the probably 3 days out of the week that I go to our mailbox, there's no mail.
Yeah, but now that direct mail has died, it's becoming alive again, because if you send out direct mail, it may be the only piece of mail they get that day, and a lot of people will open it up just to see what's going on. Anyway,
My son, now I'll tell you who gets mail. The most of the mail that comes to this house is from my son, who's in his senior year in high school. Every college and university, and you had a daughter that she's in college now, right?
Yeah.
Did you get
Still
bombarded with a lot of
I still have her too.
Okay, so did you get a lot of I guess it's really not spam. It is targeted to him because he is going to be going off to college or the military. But I mean, I'm amazed at how the sheer volume of stuff that comes in.
It is spam, and frankly, the schools are illegally giving out confidential information. They shouldn't be giving out the names and addresses of their students. Okay, that's really against the law, but they get it somehow. It's probably some low-paid secretary to say, "Hey, copy all this stuff."
Well, I'm thinking my son
drive.
signed up on career day. He probably signed something that said, "Yes, send me information," and the people he signed up with are like a clearinghouse for a bunch of places.
Yeah, well, we homeschooled, so we didn't have that,
Okay.
and also the public school system couldn't get a hold of her information because she was homeschooled. But somehow or another, they found out from someplace that she was a high school student. We better get going, or we're not going to get done here.
Okay.
So collecting by era. Some people like certain eras, like this is Queen Victoria, and this is what's called the young head Victoria. You see, she's not wearing her crown. Her hair's in a ponytail. She was only 19 years old at the time. How would you like to be the King of England, or even the Queen of England, at 19 years old?
Wow.
Little stuff you could do.
Yeah, England would no longer be standing if that honor had befallen me. So it's a good thing it didn't. Wow.
But the Victorian era was really influential all around the world. I mean, we have Victorian clothing, Victorian morals, Victorian architecture,
Yes.
Victorian furniture.
I really like Victorian architecture and design.
Yeah.
I like Victorian, and I also like what was it? Art Deco. I like Victorian and Art Deco. Whatever that's worth. But go ahead.
Deco. Okay. I'll get you an invitation to the next disco thing.
No, I didn't say disco. I said deco, Art Deco.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But those two go together. Art Deco for the disco era. And you can get some of those nice flared pants and white shoes.
I have to get out my white suit, my white suit, and my platform shoes. Right.
There you go. But anyway, that's just one era. Very popular era. The Cromwell era. Oliver Cromwell's very popular, and his coins are worth a lot of money because he was the only non-royal ever to rule England, and so therefore there weren't that many coins issued with his image on them. So we have one client who only collects Cromwell coins. Okay, you can collect by type of coin. Okay, and there are many different types. Dates. I mean, you could try and get a whole series of a certain date, like all the 1800s or 1800, 1850, that type of thing. And some people collect the early 1900s. Some people collect only coins that are pre-1933, gold coins, because that's when they stopped making legal tender coins. Okay. You could collect by mint. You mentioned the mint earlier. This particular one, it's kind of hard to read. It looks like the S mint. So that would be Sydney, Australia. Now, here's an interesting little point. England only produced coins on their own soil at the London Mint, except for the most used and most popular coin, which is the sovereign. So since they had to make so many of those, and gold is heavy, ship it, and there's pirates and all that, wherever there was gold being mined, they would set up a mint and mint sovereigns, because the 5 sovereign is like several months' wages. They didn't do a whole lot of those. So all the other coins they minted themselves, but there was mints in Spain, there's mints in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and so on. So especially if it's not the main mint, then collected by mint, you can get some pretty rare stuff. Now, you can also collect by variety. All right, here you see it on the left side, it says inverted. Normally, the right side, what we're looking at is the reverse of the coin. The crown and shield would be upright. They're upside down, right? So somehow in the minting process, and this is not an error coin or anything, it's just a different variety. The master of the mint decided to not have the reverse be a mirror of the obverse. And so they didn't know it, but they were making them more valuable. By the way, this young head Victoria we're looking at, and the one that was on that slide, talk about eras. There were 3 major coins made during the Victorian era. This one, she was first crowned, and in the old head Victoria, where she's wearing a crown and obviously is aged. Coin collectors are not very politically correct. They should really call it the senior citizen Victoria coin. But anyway, they call it the old head. And then there was another coin made after her husband died, and it shows her in her funeral veil. And she never allowed any other coins to be made. Never wore her crown again. Only wore her funeral veil.
How long has that been?
Well, that was in 1893.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the current queen. I'm sorry. I lost my signal for a minute.
Victoria. So after 50 years, which was 1887, they made the old head Victoria coin, and then 12 years later, her husband died, and so they made the one with the funeral veil, and that was the last time she did not any other portraits of her in a crown or any coins to be made. So back to the Jubilee, the 50th year, that was the first time they'd ever had a king or a queen make it 50 years. Why, you may ask? Well, people didn't live that long back then. With all the diseases and poor sanitation and so on, 35 was a ripe old age. So that's why people got married at 13, 14 years old and started having kids to support them in their old age when they got to be 30 or 34,
when I first went to Africa in 2004, the average life expectancy for a man in Kampala, Uganda, was 45.
Yeah,
that's changed drastically since then because of all the new AIDS, the new antiviral medications that they have. Because that's a real problem there. One of the biggest myths in Uganda And people really believe this. The cure for AIDS is to sleep with a virgin.
Oh, good Lord.
So education and medication have come a long way since 2004.
Yeah, right. So this Younghead Victoria coin, they had lots of them. They've been circulating for 50 years, but they wanted to honor her and make a big jubilee. You know, it's actually a biblical concept where they did a jubilee celebration, and they wanted to mint up a whole bunch of these new coins. They didn't have enough gold, so they took a lot of the Younghead coins, melted them down, and re-minted them as old head Victoria coins. What they didn't know that they were doing was making the few that remained into worth trillions of dollars, because it's hard to find the Younghead coins.
They cut the coins.
Yeah, they made them more rare. So, and they didn't see back then. They weren't thinking about the fact that someday people would collect them. This was just money to them. You know, I mean, you don't collect $5 bills, do you? You know, you spend them. They spent this money. This was the money. People have a hard time getting that because we're so used to paper money, but the fact is that the gold was the money. So anyway, a lot of those Younghead coins, particularly from certain key years, can be worth a whole lot of money, far more than the same size coin in the old head. Okay, back to where we were, connected by mint, collected by variety. Some people collect by condition. They will only collect coins that are MS, which is mint state. Some people will only collect coins that are proof coins. All right. And then some people, if they don't have very much money, they'll actually specialize in non-high quality coins. Good enough quality, but like an AU, which is almost uncirculated. And they'll put together collections of coins like that. When I had the picture of Henry VIII up there, I forgot to mention the first collection that we bought through our company Golden Art was a collection we called the Royalty Collection. And what it was 1 5-pound from every era, from every king or queen, and the best quality 5-pound that they could find. So there haven't been that many kings and queens, so it wasn't that hard to put together that set. And then whenever they would find a better one from one of the kings and queens, or a more rare year, they would sell off the one coin and replace it with a better one. So by the time we got it, the collection was worth quite a bit of money. And it was the first time we ever broke up a collection, because nobody could afford to buy the whole thing, but some people could afford to buy 1 or 2 of the coins. So we kept track of who had what, and we broke up the collection, and now it's sold to individual people. Now it's coming time to where we're going to be contacting buyers and offer them the entire collection. We can do it on the internet. We don't even have to have them fly to Palm Beach to see the collection. They can look at the coins just like you're looking at them, see the whole collection, decide if they want it, and then we'll contact the people who bought the original coins, reassemble the collection, and then sell it as a set, and they'll all make a lot more money because collections and sets are worth more. Okay, collecting by rarity. This is a very, very rare coin. As you can see, it's a hammer coin, but it's called Rose Royale. And if you want just rare coins, look at this, 1604. It's made 1604 to 1619. You can tell just by the year that it's going to be rare, right? So rarity is another way that they determine it.
Right.
And then some people collect proof sets. So I'm going to wrap it up there because I want to talk about sets next time. In fact, we'll probably be talking about sets for the next few weeks, because if people really want to make serious money with investment grade coins, they don't want just the individual coin, but they want to have sets. Now, if you can't afford to buy a set, you could still be part of a set or a collection, because remember, that's the title of this series. Your coin may be part of a collection. What we do is we don't just buy things just because they're rare, pretty, and in good condition and sell them to clients. There is purpose. Okay, we have a design in mind, and every one of the coins that we buy fits into one of the collections, with very, very rare exceptions. There's some coins that there isn't any collection they can fit into, and they're extremely rare coins in extremely good condition. Some people would just buy the one-off coins like that. But most of the coins, I'd say 95% of the coins that we sold over the last 12 years have been coins that will fit in one or more, in some cases, of the different collections we're putting together. So that automatically helps your coin be worth more money. Do you have any questions, or does anybody on the line have any questions?
Let me pop open the chat box here and take a peek. No, I don't have any questions pending here. So we'll pick up, you say, next week, where you're leaving off today. That's good. Folks, CFRN Gold, that's one word, CFRNgold.com. If you want to learn more about investment grade gold, this is something that Dr. Tom has dedicated a good part of his life researching, investing, being a dealer. Is that the proper term? A dealer?
Yes.
In investment grade gold. So if you go to that website address, you can get a starter pack that just gives you some information. Doesn't obligate you to anything, but it will get you on the mailing list, so you'll be notified when there's webinars about investment grade gold. I think Dr. Tom has a gold webinar. Is it every Monday night?
Every other Monday night. Christian Financial Concepts, which is my ministry, teaches all kinds of webinars on Monday nights. So it's the second and fourth Mondays, and we teach on how to get out of debt and stay out of debt, how to teach your children about wealth. We teach about investing in insurance, how to make sure you get the best deal, real estate, even things like how to buy a car and not overpay for it. So it's everything to do with money and finance. A lot of it, if you're an entrepreneur or you're thinking about starting a business, you might want to come to those webinars, because we often have great speakers. Like I had one guy talk about how I built a multi-million-dollar business out of my garage, and it wasn't with silicon chips. It was a computer deal. He was actually
I've got your site up on the big screen here for everybody to see. That's Dr. Tom there on the right, Christian Financial Concepts. Love the name. You know, I think about you, I think it's Saturday night, let's see, Saturday night and maybe Sunday morning. If I'm in the office working and I just click on CNBC to see what's off and on at that time, is a fellow who is also in the investment grade gold business. I don't remember his name or his company's name, but he's a regular. It's like a 30-minute infomercial, but he gets some pretty heavy play over the weekends in our market here. Are you familiar with whoever I'm talking about?
I'm not, but I'd be interested to know what station he's on.
Yeah, when it pops on this weekend, I'll get some information and I'll send it over to you. He seems like a very interesting fellow. Seems quite knowledgeable about, as do you, in regards to investment grade gold. So,
but I'm probably a lot better looking.
Well, I mean, that goes without saying, of course. Hey, I sent you an email a while back about and you may have replied. I get so weird in email I don't even hardly look anymore, but Valerie does. I sent you some information about the logical swing trader, and if that doesn't jog your memory, I'll just resend the email later today. And whenever you have an opportunity, if you could get back with me on that, I'd appreciate it, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
okay.
Goodbye, everyone. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, now I've got to disconnect from my phone. because I'm actually pacing around with earbuds in, holding my antiquated iPhone 7, or is it a 6? It's the first one that came out with a little bit bigger screen for eyes that are going dim. But I'm using the GoToWebinar app. So you have, really, I always go over the two options you have for enjoying the show each day. One, to use the GoToWebinar software on our website, CFRN.net. You can also stream it from any browser. That includes your phone or a tablet by going to youtube.com/CFRN/live. But the software, the GoToWebinar software that you would typically use on your desktop computer, and you sign up for that on our website. But if you got an iPhone, I'm sure they have it for Android as well. But I downloaded the app. It was really simple. I love it when things just work. Not a lot of tweaking and setting this up and doing that. I've used the app years ago. I just haven't used it in a while. Works a lot better today than it did last time I used it. But I downloaded the app, hit join a webinar, logged in with because I'm a presenter, I just logged in with my ID and password, and boom, there was the live training room. It just popped up. It was there, and it worked. So I've been walking around here talking, listening to Dr. Tom, still being chained to my desk. By the way, I stand now, right? I think I've been standing for almost a year. They say if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Is that true? I think it is. Anyway, they do say that sitting is the new smoking. Plus, I was having some issues with my shoulder and my neck, and my wife and I thought we tracked it down to the way I would sit all day in that chair with the rich Corinthian leather, and the way I had my arm, long story, but a lot of pain. So we thought that perhaps standing would be good because it's not the new smoking, sitting is. It would help me in more ways than one, on many levels, as they say. So I've been standing for about a year. Now, the first couple of days, and I'm telling you this, not just to bore you, but to encourage you to do it as well. You don't have to stand all the time like I do, but the first couple of days, it felt odd. Just looking at all my charts, different monitors, just getting accustomed to that. And of course, every couple minutes, it's kind of like when you quit smoking, every couple minutes you want to smoke. Well, after I'd stand for 2 or 3 minutes, I wanted to sit down because that's what I'd been doing for a decade. But after about a week, I didn't think so much about sitting anymore. And then after a month, that just became what felt normal, what felt natural. If I sit in my chair right now and try to do the show or alerts or I do everything standing. I watch my morning Constitution and my evening television programming. Those are done sitting down. Everything else I do either standing up or laying down. So probably way more information than you really needed, but I guess what I was trying to say is get off your keister, stand up, get the blood flowing. You'll thank me. All right. Okay. All right. Let's jump back into these alerts, and let me get off of this phone and earbuds and get back on my headset and mic. So let me just open up the other one. There we go. All right. Okay. Phone down, earbuds out. Studio cans on. Boom mic properly positioned. Let's go back to the S&P. Okay. All right, last night, now I gave you a chance earlier to grab a copy of the Concierge Trade Alerts. Here's another shot if you want it. Got them out last night at 8:25 p.m. Eastern. I always try to get them out between the Globex Open at 6 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Eastern. So cutting it a little short last night, 825. But we got them out. Now, this is a static report issued once per session, good for the entire session. These numbers are based on previous price behavior. The next set of alerts that I'll show you in a few minutes, that's our Logic 247. Those are based on current price behavior, and that operates around the clock, hence the name Logic 247. Okay. All right, so let's start with these. And here's what I recommend that all of our traders do each evening when I publish the CTAs. Whatever markets you trade, S&P as an example, go to your chart and draw two lines. One for the long side, one for the short side. Some days we get two-sided action. I think we had it yesterday, and here we have it again today. Let me move that out of the way. So, drawing a line on your chart last night, you would have been, see, the alerts came out at 8:25, so that's going to be 2000. That's going to be this 30-minute candle right there. So you would have been drawing, this long side, you'd been drawing that up there. I mean, there's no price activity up there, but that's what you're watching for. Which is going to trigger first? Consider being long at this number or short at this number, whichever opportunity presents itself first. And if you're given the opportunity for two-sided action, as we were again last night, then this is what it looks like. And so as the session progresses, the market makes up its mind what it's going to do. That's what this is. Anything between the lines is the market making up its mind. Once it steps over the threshold, we will typically see pretty nice trend, at least to the next zone overhead or the one below, because price is always trying to get to a weekly trading zone. From the moment the markets open, 6 p.m. Eastern Sunday, up until Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern, price is trying to get to a weekly trading zone, the one above or the one below, and our methodology and indicators help you discern which zone it's trying to get to. When price gets to a zone, one of three things happens. Only three. Consolidation, rejection, or what we call the slice. Here's the slice, a 30-minute candle. Now, this is the least likely, but it happens. It happened yesterday, 2 days ago. We slice through the zone like it's not even there. See, when price drops to a zone, we expect that to be good support. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect that to be good resistance. Support, resistance, support, resistance, support, consolidation, and then we move back up into that next zone overhead. Okay? So one of three things. Hopefully a light bulb, if you're new, a light bulb just went off over your head. Wait a minute. If it's always trying to get to one of these, and if it gets there more often than it doesn't, if I can tell which one it's trying to get to, it doesn't make trading easy, but boy, it just got really simple. That's true. That's a true story. All right. So last night we said, consider being long 29.93 or short 29.75. Opportunity for both was presented. We didn't make it all the way to the zone overhead. We knew price was trying to get to the zone overhead. At what point did we know that? Well, great question. As price came down to the zone, we expected it to find good support. We always expect the zone to be good support or resistance until proven otherwise. So we consolidated for 1, 2, a little over 2 hours. These are 30-minute candles. price starts to climb. When the high of this candle right here, when that high is taken out, I'm pretty sure, pretty sure, price is trying to get to the zone overhead. What do you think? Does it look that way to you? Let's layer in one more thing. CFRN indicators. Okay. Now, right here, as price is consolidating, we've got this red and falling CFMA1. We've got the BBC. Now, when price pulls back to a zone from above, we expect it to be good support. When price pulls back to the BBC, that's what we call the green line, just means bull bear cross. When price is above this green line, we anticipate higher prices, or we're bullish for whatever time frame is being observed. And when price gets below it, we anticipate lower prices, or we're bearish for the time frame under consideration. Okay? So over here, we pull in, everything's doing the exact job it's supposed to do. So as we leave the consolidation, in fact, I'll find some commentary I put in the channel last night. You might find that interesting. I'll put it in the chat box or something. But we were clocking this move as it happened. Okay. Now, right here, okay, we've taken out these. We're above the BBC. You see, on this candle right here, we did poke our head up above that green line. We actually closed above it, but the candle itself is still attached to this weekly zone. And so, for lack of a better term, there's like a magnetic attraction between price and the zones. So we need to see it move away from there. All right. So this is a red candle. We're obviously not going to go long on that. Another red candle. Not going to go long on that. This is the candle that gets your attention. Some might call it the signal candle. And then this would become the trigger candle. Okay. So anyone who understands our methodology and was watching this live in real time would have understood that this entry at the open of this candle was 29.8475. 29.8475. Call it 29.85. Okay, we'll round it up, 29.85. From 85 to 93, that's 8 points. But our Concierge Trade Alert was way up at 93. Did we have a Logic 247 alert to sort of fill in the gap here? I think we did. Let's take a look. Let me see if I can find that snippet of conversation from last night. That might help make sense of some of this. Yeah, here we go. Closing in on it. Okay, here it is. All right. So this is what we were talking about in the channel last night, and I'll show you. Okay. Where did it start? Okay. Oh, there was a good question here from Joseph Dwayne. Question: are the CTAs only good for the session until the next day's CTAs become available? My answer was important prices, important areas will always be important prices and important areas. However, I would focus on the current numbers to the best of my ability. And if you see activity at a previous alert number and price hasn't yet reached the current day's number, keep in mind that the market is in the process of making up its mind for this particular session. So that's a little sidetrack there, but now back to this. Okay, see those two candles? That's those two candles. So as this setup was building last night, I pointed out just an observation head fake getting its head on straight. If you don't know what a head fake is, it's when the market makes you think it's going to do one thing by its behavior and then ends up doing something else. Okay? And if you're a boxing fan, you probably understand head fake from that sport of kings. Most traders who haven't been taught otherwise would probably have shorted the heck out of that red candle. Of course, the market could still go lower, but we have good reason, logic, to be patient for a beat and let the market hand us a nice entry, which will be propelled higher, if that's how it goes, by all the hard stops of short traders getting triggered as your position moves north. Current candle closes in 5 minutes. Next candle may be the entry du jour. 4 minutes. Also, at that time, we were 1 hour in front of the London Open. London opens at 3 a.m. Eastern, so this was 2 a.m. Eastern that we were having this conversation. We have traders around the world. Logic 247 operates around the clock. So wherever you are in the world, okay, you'll fit in here somewhere. I think, well, I'm talking to a couple people here in a minute. Jenny, I know, is in Australia. Let me see who else was in here. All right, we already have one in the hopper on Logic 247. I suppose one could front run that entry by 2 points. If we close with a wick on top, back off. And then I had to take a little break. Now, this right here, see those two candles? That turned into, there's those two candles. That turned into this. What I want you to see are these wicks. Right there, right there, right there. See, as price, we found good support. And as price is trying to rally up and break away from this zone, we rally up and then price retreats before the 30-minute candle can close. We run up and retreat. Run up and retreat. Run up retreating, but this candle right here, this is where it all changed. Because that candle led to this candle. These wicks tell us price keeps retreating from each attempt to rally. Until that changes, there's nothing to do but wait. And then just moments later, see, this was, now you're seeing Pacific time because Telegram reads your computer's clock. So if you're West Coast, that's the time you'll see. If you're East Coast, that's what you'll see. I'm in Phoenix, 8 months out of the year. We are on West Coast time. Okay. All right. So 12:16 a.m. Pacific, 3:16 a.m. Eastern. This is what it looked like. 5 minutes later, that's what it looked like. Current candle may make the case for higher prices. 9 minutes left in the life of the current candle. See how that works? All four indices seem to have gotten the same wake-up call. NQ is up against a weekly trading zone. ES has room to run. Dow has room. Russell is already at a weekly trading zone. And so we're approaching these zones from below, so we expect those to be good resistance until they aren't. The best moves, the quickest moves, tend to be when all four have the ability to flow together. I'm talking about the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, and the NASDAQ E-mini. If the NQ and the Russell can overcome their obstacles, this could be the beginning of a nice leg up. Small wick should lead us right into the Logic 247 alert, and it did. Okay, it's Jake. I forget where Jake is. Jake said, I appreciate the running commentary. Thank you. Because it's 3:30 in the morning Eastern, I'm assuming Jake is not in the U.S. But Jake, if you're logged in, if you're listening, tell me where you are. I forget. Jenny, I know she's in Australia. So they were just showing the appreciation to have some commentary to walk them through. Because if you're trading at 3 in the morning, because you're in Australia or some other faraway place, I guess if you're there, it's not very far away, is it? But you get my point. There's somebody to help you, talk you through, walk you through this stuff pretty much around the clock. Sunday evening at 6 p.m., Friday afternoon, 5 p.m. That's so you can learn. See, that's what's missing in so many of these training programs out there. First, you got to make sure that they actually have a definable edge, okay? And then in teaching, when you look at historic charts, well, you know from probably whatever field of endeavor you're in, the stuff that you learn out of a textbook, well, it's okay, you know, but it's head knowledge. I'm sure you recognize the fact that things you learn from living life, from actually doing something. If you got a job loading trucks, you can study a lot about loading trucks, I'm sure, the physics of it and how to protect your back. But until you've got out there in the sun in one of those hot trucks, you know, and lumped boxes for a couple hours, I dare say you don't know nothing about loading a truck, right? Would you agree? You could study till the cows come home about how to swim, but until you get wet, you're not going to do any swimming. So that's why we do what we do the way that we do it, so that you have not just textbook and historic examples, but you have live, real-time, in the moment, as it happens, commentary, alerts, our whole strategy, methodology, our indicator set. We really do have everything a trader needs. Now, that sounds trite, self-promoting. I guess it is. Anyway, let's go down a little further. I'm reminded of it's late. I'm reminded of the theme song from the Jeffersons. Remember? Moving on up. I had that in my head from yesterday. We were talking about Archie Bunker. Okay, see, the Dow hit its zone. Remember I said that, what did I say about the Dow? Dow has room. By the time I clipped this image, we had just hit that zone I was talking about. Okay? Russell just hit its zone. NQ just hit its zone. So we now have three markets, and see, these were all taken within a minute of each other. 43, 44, 45. So Dow hits the zone, Russell hits the zone, NQ hits the zone. So you got three markets that are up against what should be good resistance. And here's the ES. This is unusual to see. A lot of room to run. But because these are having to struggle with this resistance, it's going to be a drag or create a weight for the ES to get its job done. So this was the room to run. This was a couple minutes later. This was 4 minutes later. I was pointing out with this arrow that the market was about to run into potential resistance. Okay. And then, what about 20 minutes later, price worked its way up to that yellow arrow, which is pointing at this potential resistance. Okay. And is that the end of that? Yes. Okay, that's the end of that. So I wanted you to see what was going on here. Now let me show. I showed you the CTA. Let me find the logic alert that went along with this conversation, the one we were referencing in those charts. Okay. Consider long. All right, so this went out. Consider being long the ES. Now this went out at Wednesday evening. Last night at 8:05 Pacific, so that's going to be 2300 hours Eastern. 86 to 88, trail if possible. Weekly trading zone overhead is 97/98. Now, remember what I say, price is always trying to get to a zone. So we understand that, after this candle, beginning here, we know that price is trying to get to that zone. So the number, and we know that good resistance should be overhead. So 29.86 to 88. 29.86. There it is. Okay. So that's going to be a logic 247. Let's call it L2. 29.86. Okay. So everything that I just told you, now that alert came out, what time did I say it was came out? 2300. So 2300 is right there, that little red candle. This is when the Concierge Trade Alert was published. This is when the Logic 247 alert was issued. This is when Logic triggered, and this is when the Concierge triggered. So from 2986, initial target 2988, we got that. We traded all the way up to 95, okay? But the zone is at 97. So we did not reach the final trade to target, but we did go from 86 to 95. 86 to 95, that's 9 S&P points at $50 per point. That's $450 per contract traded. And if you've earned the right, and I can't stress earn enough, you must earn the right, at least in our house, to trade multiple contracts. For the trader who's earned the right to trade 10, okay, that's a $4,500 move. It's a nice way to start your Thursday, any Thursday, right? Okay, now the Concierge with an entry at 93, swing high was 95, didn't quite miss the zone by 2 points, but there was still an opportunity to grab 2 points there. All right, we came down, had a bearish cross, price gets below the BBC. When price gets below the BBC, we expect lower prices. But when price reaches a weekly trading zone, when it comes down to a zone, we expect that to be good support until it isn't. So we spent about an hour and a half, give or take, at the zone consolidating. Okay, that's the most likely thing that will happen when price hits a zone. Consolidation, consolidation, rejection, and the other one I just showed you, the slice. Okay, all right, so two-sided action. We trigger on the short side, 29.75, put in a swing low, 64.25. So if we round that up, if we round it up to 65, that's a 10-point move. So we had 9 up here, 10 down here, $50 a point, $500 per contract traded, or for the 10 contract trader, it's $5,000. Okay. Now, important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Up here, we see that at work. We trigger, get back below. We trigger again. Unfortunately, on this trigger, we didn't really go anywhere. We come down, we trigger, drop 10 points, back above the trigger, and the second trigger hit a low of 29.70.75, call it 71, so 4 points. And we just got back above the trigger again. Now, if price can rally up just a bit, we'll hit this weekly zone, which we expect to be good resistance until it isn't, because we're approaching from below. And the BBC, we expect that to be good resistance because we're approaching it from below. Okay. All right, that's everything I can tell you about the S&P. Let's go to the Dow. On the Dow. Well, while I've got the logic out, right behind that S&P trade was the Dow long trade, 26955. to 26975. So 955. Now from 955 to 980, that's 25 Dow points. You see, we have to expect this to be good resistance until it isn't. And it was for an hour, okay? And this candle managed to punch its way through, trying to chase the S&P, I would assume. We did not get up to this swing high. This is an obstacle in the path of a move higher. And I went into quite a bit of detail yesterday on the obstacles. So if you missed yesterday's show, you can always watch the recording at youtube.com/CFRN. Okay. So we ran into that obstacle. It did turn the market down. We had a short trade on the Dow to take advantage of that move. That's how we did. Oh, yeah. 26,850 down to 830 zone. Expected to be good support. It was. Leg, retrace. Looks like we're trying to put another leg to the downside, but you see, in order to do that, this now should be good support. So we've got to trade through that obstacle, take out these lows before we can say the market is really trying to get to this zone below. So let me just show you, while I've got the logic open, because I'm going to go back to the concierge, but let me just show you real quick. Last week, week 59. Now, we've been broadcasting live since spring of 2005. So we're well into our second decade of broadcast history. We've been publishing the weekly trading zones since December 14th of 2009, coming up on a 10-year anniversary. Concierge Trade Alerts, about 6 years there. Logic 247, we introduced 60 weeks ago. Last week was week 59. We had 44 alerts, 11 never triggered. We had 33 actionable alerts. 8 of those were stopped out. So last week, 24% of actionable alerts were stopped out. The week before that, it was 10%. The week before that, it was 0. And this week, I'll show you where we're at this week in just a second. All right, week 60, Sunday night, Globex Open, 6 p.m. Eastern. S&P. I walked you through all these yesterday. Thumbs up just means price reached the target. Z's mean there was no trigger. Now that was all Sunday night. Now we're into Monday. Okay. Here's Monday. Red X, you can figure that out. It means stopped out. Stopped out. No trigger. Still waiting. Now we're up to today, 26th. Stop out. Stop out. Still waiting. Still waiting. Okay. So now I'll go back to the logic. I'm back to the concierge. Okay, up on the chart I have up right now. On the Dow, the short side for that one was 26875. 26875. That gave us 45 points of room to run before we ran into what should be good support, and it was. We spiked it a little bit, but it did its job. Good support. There's 45. Okay, that covers the Dow. If you have any questions, put them in the chat box. I'm happy to answer them. All right, here's the Russell. That was our last Russell swing trade, we hit the final target on that. Let's see, are these current zones 52, 53? The zones go out to the partners, passport holders, Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. 42, 43, and then the next zone on the downside, 1509/10. We still have the rest of today and all of tomorrow. Now, just because there's a zone there, it doesn't mean price will absolutely get there. We can see that it's trying to right now. It's been trying. Let me just fix this and show you what I mean. I want that to be 1510. Okay, so 1509/10. Price was trying to get to the zone below here. Buyers came in, ran it up, tried again, ran it up nicely, put in this double top. Now we're once again trying. If these lows get taken out, that looks like a mighty good place for a swing trade. In case you didn't know, I will underwrite, finance your first 30 days with the logical swing trader. Why? Because I can and nobody else does. Not trying to be Trumpish at all. But when you can do something that no one else in the industry does, and you do it partly because you can, but really it's because you have enough confidence in your product or your service, whatever it is. It could be trimming hedges, cutting hair, or trading Emini Futures. My goal is I put the logical swing trader into your hands for 30 days. I foot the bill. This gives you a clearer mind for 30 days to get to know the logical swing trader, to work with it in SEM, till you understand it, understand the risk, all that it entails. And then there's still enough time left in the month, I believe, for you to earn enough money to pay for an annual subscription. If by chance you don't earn enough money in 30 days to pay for an annual subscription, the only thing I can suggest is don't buy it. Right? It's only $1,500 for a year. It's $200 a month. That's $2,400 a year. If you take the annual subscription, we discount it down to like $1,500, 14 and change. It's to take a look at it. That's why I'm giving. That's 30 days on me. Check it out. If you don't make any money, nothing ventured, nothing gained. All right. Now, 94942 Emini, or just send an email to Valerie, support@cfrn.net. I keep meaning to get up a webpage for the swing trader, and I'm working on it, but I just haven't finished it. So call her, she'll get you set up with the trial. So send you the links, you can click and set it up yourself. The reason I even brought that up is because if we take out these lows, and the next zone is way down at 1509/1510, it's a nice move. What is it? At $50 a point, I'll just say this, it's more than $750 per contract traded if we trigger and if we make it down to the zone by close of business tomorrow. And because it's a swing trade, even if we triggered and didn't get there by close of business tomorrow, then it would still be live Sunday night. Okay, back to the matter at hand. Russell, long at or above 1558. Okay, so we did not, did we? We did. We triggered 58. It only ran up 6 ticks there. Okay, that's it. 6 ticks, $10 a tick. $60. No, that's not true. $5 a tick. It's $50 a point. There's 10 ticks to a point. $5. They changed. The Russell used to pay $100 a point. They changed that a few years ago. Okay, so most likely a stop out on that. Now there were for the concierge I'm showing you, there was a companion logic for each one of these, and that's important because when you have two fingers pointing at the same price, same area. Oh my God. Guys, I have some bad news. Just sit down for a second. I just got a text message. Those of you that were tuned in last week, you had the privilege and honor of hearing Mike Reed's last public interview. Tell you what, guys, we can wrap this up tomorrow. We'll finish this up. We have a partners workshop tonight, so we can cover anything that didn't get covered. What's going on, Bill? My charts aren't updating. Is that what you were saying? Here, let me check. Let's see what's going on. It's just on that chart, or is it all of them? I'll just. Mike Reed was a good friend over the years. Back in 2005, 2006, when couldn't find anybody to help me learn how to trade. He gave me some help. We talked about that last week. If you missed the show last week when Mike came on, please check it out. Yeah, you can find it at youtube.com/CFRN. All right, Bill, let me see if I can get these charts rolling again. I don't know why they locked up. His website, Bill, tradestalker.com. Mike decided to retire. He made this decision a little more than a month ago, maybe 2. And we talked, and you've all heard me say that Mike Reed was one of my great heroes. He overcame so many obstacles in the course of his life. Some of you may not know his whole story. He never really talked about it on the show, but the information's on his website. But he was drafted, and I hope I get the story right. He was drafted out of high school to play professional baseball. I don't remember which team. That's quite an honor to be drafted out of high school. And he and some friends went out to celebrate. And part of the celebration was some cliff diving. And Mike was injured in that afternoon, broke his back. And he was, I guess, 18 at the time. He'd been trading for 30 years from the chair. And again, a real hero to me, because I know me, and I know how quick I am to moan and groan and whine and complain about sometimes just the silliest of things. But I always remind myself of what Mike Reed went through every day. I mean, going to some folks, will do whatever they can to get out of work. Mike saw the ability to work as an honor and a privilege. He did, and he enjoyed it. He was passionate about it, and he loved teaching people, helping them to learn this business. We just talked last week. He was on the show. I mean, I knew he was in a lot of pain. Things you would think after all these years that wouldn't progress and get worse, but it was, and it did, and so. Maybe some good word for the day will fit in here. Hang on for me just a second. Mike will leave behind a legacy, a great legacy, an honorable, a noble legacy. Matthew 25:21 says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." I believe with all my heart. He's already heard those words. You and I, we don't get to choose the moment of our arrival or our departure here on planet Earth. But we do get to choose what our legacy will be and what we will be remembered for, good or bad. At the age of 5, he wrote, not Mike, he wrote an advanced concerto for the harpsichord. Before he was 10, he published several violin sonatas and was playing the best of Handel and Bach from memory. Soon after his 12th birthday, he composed and conducted his first opera. He was awarded an honorary appointment as concert master with the Salzburg Symphony Orchestra, and within a few years was hailed as the pride of Salzburg. When he died at the age of 35, he had written 48 symphonies, 47 arias, duets, and quartets with orchestral accompaniment, and more than a dozen operas. He's credited with some 600 original compositions in all. Even so, Mozart lived, that's who we're talking about, Mozart, lived most of his life in poverty and died in obscurity. His sick widow seemed indifferent about his death. A few friends made it to the church for his funeral, but a storm prevented them from going to the graveside burial service. So the location of his grave became virtually impossible to identify. No shrine marks his resting place. So today, what is it that Mozart is remembered for? What will Mike Reed be remembered for? Their legacies. For Mozart, it'll not be the life he lived, but the music he gave the world that still enriches our lives today. And in his own way, Mike Reed touched lives. I talked about it on this radio show just last week when he was on here with us, that what he taught me way back in 2005, 2006, 2007, a lot of it back then, it was just head knowledge. He explained it to me, I nodded, I said, uh-huh, but I didn't really understand. It took some time. It took some time to come into a full understanding of all the principles and fundamental things that he taught me about trading. And now that I am teaching all of you, it's going to ensure that that legacy stays alive. He may be gone home to be with the Father, but his legacy will live here on earth, as will Mozart's. When your life's sole focus is self-interest, you won't be missed when you're gone. or missed for the right reasons. So I want to encourage all of you today. Do what Mike Reed did. Do what Mozart did. Find a cause greater than yourself. One that will outlive you. And then pour yourself into it. Don't just leave a will. Leave a legacy that fulfills God's will. That's our good word for the day. I may have some more information for you tomorrow. I'm going to call and speak with Mike's lovely wife, Julie, right now. And if there were any last words or anything, I'll be sure to pass those along to you. And no doubt we'll have an online memorial service here on CFRN sometime in the coming days. Anyone who knew him and worked with him, if you were taught by him, I'd love to have you on that day participate in the radio program and take the microphone for a few minutes and share your thoughts and memories of Mike. All right? Okay. My charts never did come back on, did they? Okay. Well, I'll fix it before tomorrow, hopefully. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928